Okie dokie. So welcome back to Insurance Gems. So now we're on part 4, section 4 of an auto policy. As you can see, it looks different on the Farmers, Progressive, and let's get to Liberty Mutual, part D. That's coverage. Oh yeah, that was it. That was it. So they call it part D, and then they have their definitions as well. Okay, so this is very important stuff here, because this tells you if you have comprehensive coverage or collision coverage, what's covered, what's not covered as well. Okay, so let's take a look at Liberty Mutual here. Their coverage for damage to your auto. First off, what does the insuring agreement say? We will pay for direct and accidental loss to your covered auto or any non-owned auto, including their equipment minus any applicable deductible. If lost to more than one of your covered auto or non-auto results in the same collision, only the highest applicable deductible will apply. So this is saying if you own two vehicles and let's say you both your vehicles were damaged in the same collision, then they're only going to take one deductible or only apply one deductible, and it's going to be whichever is the highest between your two. So if you have one car that has a $2,000 deductible and one has a $250 deductible, and they were both damaged by the same accident, then they're both going to be covered claims and only going to apply the one deductible. That's what Liberty Mutual says. Farmers, I don't think that they get that far. Let's see. Their definition is for comprehensive, we will pay for loss to your insured car and its additional equipment and any non-owned auto caused by any direct or accidental means other than collision. So if your car was damaged by a collision accident because you ran into another car or a fixed object, a curb, something like that, that's not comprehensive. That's collision. And again, for collision, we will pay for your loss to your insured car caused by, this is the very most important part of the collision coverage. The damage has to be caused by direct, sudden, and an accidental collision, less any deductibles. That just means minus your deductible. All right. They will also pay without applying your deductible for the reasonable cost to replace your child's safety seat. So that's your car seat in an accident. Let's see what Progressive says. If you pay for the premium, we will pay for sudden, direct, and accidental loss to a covered auto or non-owned auto. Non-owned means if I'm in your car and I'm driving it, my policy would cover damage to your car. I don't own your car, but I'm driving it. Again, Progressive will also pay the reasonable cost to replace a child seat. That's pretty standard, by the way. So if your agent's selling you on some of this stuff, you see that it's pretty much in the base policy. This is pretty standard here in Texas. Now, that's collision. Now, Progressive goes into defining what is comprehensive coverage. If you pay for the premium for this coverage, we will pay for sudden, direct, and accidental loss to a covered auto. A loss not caused by collision, which would be comprehensive, includes the following. If you hit a bird, explosion, earthquake, fire, missiles, falling objects, riot, theft, windstorm, hail, breakage of glass, all that is considered comprehensive. All right. Same here. So they actually define, let's see, so collision for farmers means an upset of your insured car or an impact with another object. That's collision. Collision does not mean the same things that Progressive says. It is not missiles, fire, theft, explosion, earthquake, hail. That's comprehensive. All right. But this section is very important because it also talks about, if your animal gets injured, you would have coverage up to a certain limit if your pet dies in an accident. So Progressive's giving you $1,000. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if Farmers actually has it or not, and I don't know if Liberty Mutual has it or not. But there goes the same perils or coverages for comprehensive on the Liberty Mutual policy. Now, this part is very important because this is what gets probably the most complaints that I get and arguments with people is under the exclusion section. And you'll know from my first video, I already told you that an insurance policy is not a warranty, and it's going to tell us this. So what's not covered? Coverage will not be afforded under Part 4, which was comprehensive and collision, in these different areas. So again, if you're using your vehicle to carry persons or property for a fee, it's not covered. Okay. This is the most important that trips people up. So to any vehicle, so let's read that. Coverage under Part 4 will not apply for a loss to any vehicle that is due and confined to wear and tear, freezing, mechanical, electrical, or electronic breakdown or failure, or road damage to tires. But it does not apply, this exclusion, if the damage results from a theft of a vehicle. So if all this happens because of a theft, then this doesn't apply. But if you just have oil leaks on your engine, on your oil pan, and you get a bumper, your front bumper gets damaged, and you're trying to claim that the oil leak was from your bumper damage, that part's going to be denied for wear and tear. If you have tires that are worn and they explode, then the replacement of that tire is not going to be covered, but all of the resulting damage that blown tire causes would be covered. So this part's very important because a lot of people file an insurance claim thinking that their policy is going to pay for their vehicle, which has not been maintained by them. And they know it hasn't been maintained. And we know it hasn't been maintained. But again, people try to be very slick and sneaky, and they can outsmart the insurance company, unfortunately. So it's a lot of other stuff in here. Portable equipment, that stuff's not going to be covered. That's personal property, so that's not going to be covered on an auto policy. Typically, your homeowner's policy will cover personal property that's in a vehicle. All right. So Progressive's policy just goes on to talk about custom parts, which I'll make another video on. You guys with the lifted trucks, you got your 37-inch wheels and tires and your 10-inch lift and all these parts, but you only have coverage under their policy for $1,000. If any of that stuff gets damaged, this is the most they're going to pay for all that stuff. So you need to contact your agent and get some more coverage. Welcome back again to Insurance Gems. So this video is going to be talking about your rights as a customer/insured with an insurance company. We already defined what an insured is. An insured is somebody who's listed on the declarations page of the insurance policy. They're also somebody who pays the premium, the month-to-month payment to the company in exchange for coverage. Now, most people don't know that you do have rights under this policy. And you'll see on the Progressive policy, there's this part that's called the appraisal clause. And if you come down here as well to under the Farmers, you'll also see it. Let me try to skip ahead. There you go, right there, page 22. So they have it, and Liberty Mutual also is going to have it as well. Now, what this appraisal clause is, it says it right there. If we cannot agree with you on the amount of a loss, then we or you may demand an appraisal of the loss. Within 30 days of any demand for an appraisal, each party shall appoint a competent appraiser and shall notify the other party of that appraiser's identity. The appraisers will determine the amount of the loss. If they fail to agree, the disagreement will be submitted to a qualified umpire chosen by the appraisers. If the two appraisers are unable to agree upon an umpire within 15 days, we or you may request that a judge of a court of record in the county where you reside select the umpire. The appraisers and umpire will determine the amount of the loss. The amount of loss agreed to by both appraisers or by one appraiser will be binding. You will pay your appraiser fees and expenses. We will pay our appraiser fees and expenses. All the other expenses of the appraisal, including payment of the umpire, if one is selected, will be shared between us and you. Neither we nor you will waive any rights under this policy. All that is saying is that from time to time, especially on like a total loss situation, if a customer disagrees with the value of their vehicle that the insurance company has came up with, they do have a right to invoke this. This is called the appraisal clause. Essentially, you would have to pay to find your own independent appraiser. The company is going to pay to go find their own independent appraiser. Those two appraisers are going to meet, review all the file information, and make an outcome or decision. Sometimes a decision will be higher than what the insurance company initially offered you. Sometimes it'll be lower, but whatever that amount is, that's exactly what the final settlement's going to be. And if those two appraisers can't come to an agreement, then you see they're going to get an umpire, another person involved to help come to an agreement. So this part is very important, and a lot of us as consumers, we don't know our rights. We don't even know that this exists in the policy. We just typically take whatever the settlement is for a total loss, and we just move on. But if you genuinely think the insurance company is lowballing you, then you can either do your own additional research, which I'll touch on total losses and things like that in another video. But yeah, you can do your own research, and if you still can't come to an agreement, then you can hire a competent third-party appraiser and pay for that and see where it gets you. All right, cool. Thanks.